Wouldn't you know it, the loudest table is my own children. Who raised those kids, Debbie? And wouldn't you also know it, that at our own gala, wherever I go to speak, they always discriminate against short people? If I stood behind that, you would just see my yarmulke kind of floating, so I'm going to stand here. What an absolute pleasure to welcome you all this evening. My friends, you have my word, we're going to keep the evening moving briskly. My speech, which will not go longer than 90 minutes, I promise, is going to be about that seldom addressed subject, what we seem to all trample upon, and it's called values. 10 days ago, on a Thursday night at 3 a.m., my wife and I received a phone call. I was still up, saying that my father, who had had a stroke 2 months earlier, had taken a turn for the worst, and that my wife and I should travel immediately to Los Angeles, where he is in Cedars-Sinai Hospital. We don't travel on the Sabbath. A travel agent got us in 15 minutes before the Sabbath came in. And for 25 hours of the peace of the Sabbath, with no phones, with no emails, with no social media, I held my father's hand and I sang to him the beautiful melodies of the Sabbath. And my friends, I was overcome with such sadness. Not because of my father's health, which, by the way, due to the prayers of so many, improved, and he was released from the ICU on Sunday. I wasn't sad because my father wasn't feeling well, although that itself was something that pained me deeply. And I wasn't sad because of any arguments or fights or disagreements I had ever had with my father, who divorced my mother when I was just 8 years old, so building a relationship became a struggle, a lifelong struggle that I had endeavored in. No, my friends. I was sad because I thought of all the conversations we might never have. I was sad because I thought of all the experiences that we would not share. I was sad not for any of the bad things I ever did to my father or with my father, but for all the good things that I failed to do. Humanity is flawed, so we can forgive ourselves for our imperfections. But who, pray tell me, will forgive us for our moral omissions? It's not the bad things we do that matters because we are imperfect. It's the good things we fail to do. The sins of omission. What excuse do we have not to compliment a spouse who dresses up and looks beautiful when compliments cost absolutely nothing? What excuse do we have in a country of such plenty and bounty not to give more charity when we know that it will not even impact our lifestyle in the slightest? What excuse do we have not to show the slightest bit of kindness to people from an opposing political camp, even amidst our hyper-partisan disagreements? My God, what happened to our values, to what we prioritize, to what we consider important? There's a man sitting in this room who is America's most influential television executive. His name is David Zaslav, and for 3 years in the 2000s, I was a host of his on TLC, going around the country for a show called Shalom in the Home.
Hell of a host you are.
And still shall be. And David, there was a family. It was an amazing show because here you had Discovery Networks paying for a rabbi. I was the first rabbi ever to host a show in prime time in American TV history. And a television company paid for me to go around the country with a crew of 35 to just fix families. And I came to the family of a Latino truck driver, and every week was a different theme of family dysfunction. And this Latino truck driver was having an affair, and his wife found out, and she kicked him out of the house, and he had 3 daughters, and they wouldn't even speak to him. And I said to him, you know that the sin of which you're guilty is not that you did something bad. Your wife is forgiving. It's that you took all the love and the erotic attention and the romance and you directed it away from your marriage to someone else. So your marriage is now starving. It's missing essential nutrients. And I went to his wife and I said, he really is contrite. Forgive him. And I'll never forget what she said. She said to him, why did you do it? And he said, I'm a truck driver. She made me feel good about myself. I felt like a failure. And then she said to him, but to your children, you were the king of the world. And all they wanted was for you to love them, but you couldn't see it. When God creates Adam and Eve, and they are created naked, and suddenly after the sin of the serpent, they came to know their nakedness, and they quickly scrambled to find raiments, clothing to cover their nakedness. And God says to Adam and Eve, who told you that you're naked? Who made you feel that as a truck driver you were naked, that you were worthless, that you were nothing? Who gave you these rotten values that said to you that only money or power or beauty or influence, not spending time with your kids, not complimenting a wife, who told you you were naked? Compare that to this week's Torah reading. We divide our Bible into 52 sections where God comes to Moses, the great prophet, and he says, V'asisa bigdei kodesh la'aron achicha l'chavaru l'sifares. And you shall create raiments of glory for your brother Aaron, for majesty and for radiance. There's 2 kinds of clothing. There's clothing that compensates for a feeling of diminishment and failure. And all the Harvard degrees and all the Stanford degrees and all of the political offices will still amount to nothing if you feel you're intrinsically naked. You will still be an insecure name dropper regardless of all of your achievements. Then there's clothing that simply magnifies our inner sense of dignity, of infinite worth. And God says to us, you are not naked. Are you a hero? To all of us gathered tonight, are you a hero no matter how much money you've made, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many cocktail events you get invited to? Are you a hero if the people who mean the most to you think the least of you? Are you a hero if you're a hero to the world, but your own children wrestle with insecurities that are caused by neglect? I was Michael Jackson's rabbi. His reputation has taken a serious hit over the past year. He's not here to defend himself, so I'm not going to get into that. He's not here to defend himself. But I will tell you something that I'll never forget. He and I recorded 30 hours of conversation for a book. And this was a man, we went together to Oxford to give speeches. We gave a speech here in Carnegie Hall. We almost got torn limb from limb walking out of Carnegie Hall in 2001. He had crazy fans. He told me, get ready, it's going to get brutal. And I didn't realize what he meant. I mean, it was, of course, my body. That was a joke. I see it was a joke that scared most of you. I apologize for that. Complain to God about my body, it's not my fault. We were almost torn limb from limb. Then we went to Oxford even more. He had fans camping out for 6 weeks. And with all of that love from strangers, he said to me one day, you know, Shmuley, all I ever wanted was the love and validation of my father. And I never got it. And then he said to me, but you know, there was one day when I was about 8 years old in the Jackson 5, and he took me to a carnival, and he personally placed me on a pony. And I dream about that day when my father put me on a pony. And I said, can you rebuild your relationship with him? And he said, because there was that one day when he put me on a pony, I can. And my friends, that's the idea of a mitzvah. One good deed, a starting point that can create a relationship. We Jews have that every Friday night on the Shabbat dinners. It's the reason why the World Values Network will tonight announce a national initiative called Turn Friday Night into Family Night, which we had started earlier, but our goal is to have 25 million families around the United States this year joining in the 222 every Friday night, because Friday nights are sacred to Jews, they're sacred to Muslims, they're sacred to Catholics, which is why Catholics used to not have meat on Friday nights, the day that Jesus was crucified. They're sacred to agnostics and atheists, because it's the beginning of the weekend. We are going to create a national weekly family dinner of the 222. Turn your damn phone off for 2 hours every Friday night, not answering a text or sending out an email, so your kids feel like they matter, for God's sake, that they've got a measure of dignity and don't have to bring home an A to get your attention. They shouldn't have to earn it. Love is an unconditional gift that we bequeath upon our children. Second two, invite two guests. Share your bounty. We're too damn selfish. We're too damn narcissistic. We're too damn self-absorbed. Make your home into the tent of Abraham. And the third two, prepare something substantive to share with your kids. Two subjects. That's not the Academy Awards or the Grammys or some celebrity or what you saw on Instagram. Two subjects to stimulate your children's curiosity in the infinite. You know, all of values can really be reduced to a single sentence. Confer dignity on all whom you meet. We have here tonight the foremost African-American philanthropist probably in American history. And Robert, when you electrified the world by paying off all of the yeshiva and rabbinical students' debts, that was a joke. When you electrified the world by paying off the student debts of Morehouse undergraduates, and I mentioned to you, one of the greatest honors of my life was when Cory Booker's younger brother, John Taylor, brought me to the Martin Luther King Chapel at Morehouse, and I spoke on a Shabbat, so I couldn't even use a microphone. I had to belt out a speech. What an honor that was. God almighty, right afterward they had all this dancing, and I discovered, it's one thing Jews might not be able to dance, but short Jews, oh my God, when I saw the talent of the people around me, it was simply astonishing. But you believe, and the press reported, that you paid off people's debt. As if you did them a favor by telling them that they would be free, unencumbered of the responsibility of repaying these debts. But I think it was completely the opposite. There have been many acts of philanthropy. It cost you tens of millions of dollars. They didn't get as much attention. I'll tell you why yours did. Because every single commencement speech is some guy or some woman getting up in front of an entire class of undergraduates and saying, if you just follow this prescription, you can be me. Right now you're naked. You're not really valuable. You're starting, you have a degree, that's the beginning. But if you do X, Y, and Z and jump through all of society's hoops, you will be a somebody. What you did was you flipped the entire commencement. You said, I see you. You're not invisible to me. I know that you matter. You already have dignity. I worked all this time for you. It was an astonishing reversal of the message, and it electrified the world. I don't think I've ever seen one act of philanthropy that has garnered that much attention in my entire life. Can we give it up for Robert Smith, please? Which is why, as I conclude, the second initiative that will be launched tonight, and I hope that all of you will participate, because we have large goals trying to raise a lot of money, of some $20 million to make these happen. The second goal is to finally start a network beginning with a world-class website of the globe's leading philanthropists, icons, political figures, cultural figures, religious figures, doing videos talking about their values. I don't only want to hear why you're a conservative or why you're a liberal or why you love Bernie or why you love Trump or hate Trump. And I want to hear, what are your values? Evander Holyfield won the heavyweight championship of the world 4 separate times, more than any other person in history. And he's damn lucky he never got in the ring with me. That's what I'll tell you. But you know what really turns me on? It's that he's the father of 11 children. Yes, it was amazing to watch Kobe soar through the air. But it was more amazing to know that he gave his life when he was with his daughter, trying to teach her to do the same, to die with that level of sacrifice. That's what moved America to the point where it can't stop grieving. That's what created a hashtag, Girls Dad. I'm a father of 9. Robert, you're a father of 7. Children, family. And my friends, that's why we're so devoted as Americans, Jews and non-Jews, to the state of Israel. I just want to identify with a country that brings these values of human dignity to every part of the world, and especially the Middle East. I want my Muslim brothers and sisters being able to vote in all the countries that surround Israel. I want them to express an opinion in the press where they're never afraid. I want LGBTQ Palestinians to not have to fear for their life and flee to Israel just to stay alive. I want women to completely manifest and develop their potential as women in every society and make the choices of how they want to see their own destiny. And that's why we are so honored to have incredible heroes in this room tonight. The greatest ambassador the United States has ever sent to Israel, Ambassador David Friedman. My friend, who is one of the longest serving ambassadors of Israel to the United States, my former student, my student president. Inspiration, I was his mentor, now he's my mentor. Hero of the Jewish people worldwide. Possessed of eloquence that the angel, the seraph-winged angels of heaven sing of. Ambassador Ron Dermer of Israel. Elon Carr, who is fighting a global wave of anti-Semitism, which is again about human dignity. Elon, thank you so much for joining us. Ambassador Georgette Mosbacher, who has gone beyond the call of duty in representing the United States to Poland. Georgette, 6 million voices who don't have the capacity to be heard. They rise up to thank you for everything you have done for the memory of the 6 million in Europe in general and on Polish soil in particular. You are a true hero, and our people thank you. God bless you. And is there anyone more fiery on TV? Is there anyone made of steel? Gal Gadot is beautiful, but Wonder Woman? That's Judge Jeanine Pirro. I had a lot of wine. I hope I didn't forget any of our honorees. Wait. And our hosts tonight, the Fallick families, Simon sitting right in front of me. God bless you, Simon. Kevin Burmeister from Sydney, Australia. God bless you, Sydney. God bless Sydney, from my wife is from, and Kevin. David and Mona Sterling, perennial hosts. Poor David. I got my claws into you. I never let go. The best writer in the English language in the United States and the foremost defender of Israel on the written page in the United States, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist of the New York Times, Bret Stephens. I've got to finish. Above all else, I want to thank two people. I want to thank Chloe Floria, who put together this entire event. And I want to thank my wife, Debbie. For exercising such incredible judgment in marrying me 32 years ago. And Debbie is, there's no other way to put this, she's quite simply the luckiest woman alive. When you marry a perfect specimen of masculine perfection, you're just the luckiest woman. I finally want to say to my very dear friend and brother, Alicia Wiesel. Where is Alicia? I can't even see you. Are you there? Alicia and Lynn Wiesel are here. Alicia's father was the foremost Jewish figure of the 20th century, along with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the great witness to our 6 million. He attended, as you know, Alicia, every one of our galas. He was my mentor, but his greatest legacy is you. And thank you for everything you do with me and for me, another host of tonight's gala. And thank you very much. My friends, we're behind schedule. Thank you for listening. We're going to go straight to our first honoree, and to welcome him, I'm going to ask Sandra Gerber to please come to the stage. God bless you all. Thank you.